My mind is like a puzzle, and I keep trying to put the pieces together, but it's so complicated. Yet somehow it's all starting to make sense. Sometimes the most absurd thoughts are the ones that are the most genuine. Maybe it's time to stop questioning them. I'm trying to explain something to you, but every time I try, it just comes out wrong. Maybe that's because it's not about the words, it's about the feeling. The thoughts I have in my head are like fragments of a story I haven't figured out how to tell yet. But I need to tell it. Sometimes I say things that don't quite make sense, but in those moments, I feel like I'm being more honest than ever. I feel like I'm on the verge of saying something so stupid, but in my heart, I know it's the right thing to say. My thoughts are tangled right now, like a knot that's just too hard to untie. But maybe if I say it out loud, it'll become clear. I want to tell you something that feels so random, but it might just be the most important thing I've said all day. There are moments when the dumbest thoughts can be the most revealing. It's strange how the mind works sometimes. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of saying something ridiculous, but deep down, I know I need to let it out. Sometimes, I think the best way to explain something is just to say it, no matter how weird it may sound. You ever have one of those thoughts that you're scared to share because it feels too strange? That's where I am right now. I want to share something, but the words feel so out of place. Still, I think they're the words I need to say. My thoughts are swirling around, and I'm trying to make sense of them, but maybe there's no need to make sense of everything. I can't help but feel like I'm about to say something that doesn't make sense, but maybe that's what makes it all the more real. Sometimes I want to speak the things I think are silly because they hold more truth than I'm willing to admit. My mind is all over the place, and it's funny how I want to explain it, but every attempt feels more complicated. There are times when I say something so simple, but it ends up being the most profound thing I've said all day. My thoughts are all jumbled right now, but I think it's time to say them out loud, silly as they may be. I'm about to say something that doesn't seem to make any sense, but for some reason, I just can't keep it to myself. Sometimes, the thoughts that seem the most ridiculous are the ones that define us in the end. I want to tell you something, but it feels like I'm trying to express 1,000 things at once, all of them tangled together. There's a part of me that feels embarrassed to speak these words, but maybe they're the most honest thing I've said in a while. Sometimes I feel like I'm thinking about everything at once, and none of it really fits together. Yet, I still need to share it. I'm on the verge of saying something so absurd, but I think that's exactly what I need to say right now. I can't explain it, but right now, I feel like the most random thought in my head is the one I need to say. I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but it feels like every word I speak comes out as if it's from the deepest part of me. Sometimes I feel like the words I'm trying to say are stuck in my throat, and no matter how hard I try, they just won't come out the way I want them to. There are moments when I feel like I'm about to say something so absurd, but it's the only thing that feels real in this chaotic moment. It's strange how sometimes the simplest thoughts feel the hardest to express, but in that struggle, there's a certain clarity I can't ignore. I feel like I'm on the edge of saying something so silly, but the truth is, it's exactly what I need to say right now. My thoughts are all tangled up, like a ball of string that just won't unravel, but somehow I know they need to be shared. I'm thinking of saying something that feels so random, yet deep down, it's the most important thing on my mind right now. I want to say something, but the more I try, the more it seems like I can't find the right words. Maybe that's just how it goes sometimes. Sometimes I feel like the words I want to say are too much for me to handle, but I know I can't keep them locked inside any longer. The thoughts I have seem so out of place, but in my heart, I know they're exactly what needs to be said, even if they sound foolish. It's funny how some of the most important things I want to say seem so silly when I try to put them into words. But maybe that's part of their beauty. I find myself about to speak, but it feels like every word is slipping away before I can even catch it. Still, I can't stop trying. There's this thought lingering in my mind, and I'm terrified it'll sound ridiculous, but I can't seem to shake the feeling that I need to say it. I want to speak, but it feels like every word is too much to carry, and yet, somehow, I know I need to. I want to tell you something so stupid that my mind can't even process it right now. It's like I'm caught in a whirlwind of confusion, yet somehow everything feels clearer than ever. Sometimes I find myself caught between moments, unable to explain what I'm thinking, but somehow I still need to say it aloud. It's as if my mind is speaking a language only I understand. You ever have one of those moments where you're about to say something, but the words just don't feel like they're coming out right? That's where I am, stumbling over every thought, yet trying to find some clarity. I'm sitting here, overthinking every little thing, yet none of it really makes sense. Maybe I'm just looking for someone to understand without judgment. The truth is, Sometimes I don't even know how to explain what I'm feeling, and that scares me. There's a part of me that just wants to say it, no matter how foolish it may sound. Have you ever tried to say something that feels so silly, yet deep down, you know it matters more than you realize? That's where my thoughts are right now, feeling like I'm caught in a silly paradox. I can't help but laugh at myself sometimes. It feels like everything I want to say is so ridiculous, yet here I am, still needing to share it. Sometimes the most random thoughts become the most profound ones. It's funny how something that feels so trivial can end up meaning the world. I've got this overwhelming urge to tell you something, but it feels so silly and unimportant. Yet, I can't shake the feeling that it needs to be said. It's strange how one moment everything feels perfectly fine, and the next I'm tangled in a web of thoughts I can't seem to unravel. But still, I need to share. I'm sitting here wondering how I can explain myself when the words feel like they're stuck somewhere between my heart and mind. It's frustrating, yet strangely beautiful. It's like trying to express something in my head, but the second I try to say it out loud, it sounds so foolish, yet it matters. Some days I feel like I'm on the verge of saying something so stupid, but then I realize it's not stupid, it's just honest. Sometimes the thoughts we hesitate to share are the ones that carry the most weight. They might sound foolish, but they're the ones that reveal who we truly are. I want to tell you something so absurd, but it's the kind of absurd that makes perfect sense when you stop trying to make sense of it. I find myself saying the most ridiculous things, but those are the moments where I'm actually speaking from the deepest parts of myself. There are moments where the dumbest things seem to make the most sense. I guess that's just how the mind works when it's overwhelmed by feelings. It's funny how some of the things we consider stupid are the ones that define us. Maybe I need to stop caring if it sounds ridiculous. Ever try to explain something, but no matter how hard you try, it just doesn't come out right? That's exactly how my mind feels right now. I feel like I'm saying something that makes no sense, but somehow it's all I can think about. That's the magic of being human, isn't it? The more I try to say something, the more it feels like a jumble of words. Maybe I just need to stop trying to make sense of it all. Sometimes we overthink things to the point where the simplest thought becomes so tangled. I guess that's where I am right now, stuck in my own mind. I've been sitting here trying to find the perfect way to say what I'm thinking, but maybe the perfect words don't even exist. There are moments when you feel like the thoughts in your head are so ridiculous that you want to keep them to yourself. But maybe sharing them is the best thing you can do. It feels like I'm trying to explain something so silly, but for some reason, it means everything to me. Sometimes you have to say the things you're most afraid to say, even if they sound completely absurd. They need to be said. I can't explain why I feel the way I do, but it's as if my heart and mind are in a constant tug of war, both wanting to speak, yet neither able to find the words. There are times when the most random thoughts seem to make the most sense, and in that chaos, I find clarity. I'm thinking about saying something so foolish, but maybe it's only foolish because I haven't said it yet. Sometimes I feel like my thoughts are running wild in every direction, and I'm left trying to catch up to them. But still, I need to share them with you. It feels like I'm on the edge of something, but every time I open my mouth to speak, the words just don't come out the way I want them to. I want to tell you something, but I'm afraid it'll sound too stupid. Then again, maybe that's the best thing to say. In these moments, I don't know whether to laugh at how silly my thoughts sound or to be amazed by how true they feel.